Imagine a friend saying to you, "Damn, you're ugly," and super annoying. When are you actually going to stop being a giant loser and start to make something out of your life? In fact, why don't you change everything about yourself, and maybe that would give me half a chance to start liking you a little. Can you do that? Now imagine them saying that to you every single day. And now imagine that you are stuck with them every single day for the rest of your life. Sounds lovely, doesn't it? Now, if you like having that in your life, then this episode is probably not for you. But if you feel like you would like to kick that person's butt, then stick around and let's get into it. We think it only matters what we say to others and what others say to us. But if you were to talk to a friend the way you talk to yourself on a daily basis, how long do you think that friendship will last? Would you be encouraged or discouraged by that conversation? Would you want to come to you for advice and upliftment? And would being around you be energizing or draining? Last week I spoke about the wonderful and powerful impact that you have on others. You can find that video here. But this week I'm going to talk about how you are influencing you. I think if we were to read all the things we say to ourselves every day, we would be shocked. And I'm not only talking about these obvious negative things like I'm ugly or I'm so stupid or I'm not good enough. I'm talking about the things that make us stop in our tracks and make it impossible for us to move forward. There's so much power in the words I am and I can't, because they are a statement made as an indisputable truth. I realized this the first time I read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and I'm just going to read the quote for you here. One dad had a habit of saying, "I can't afford it." The other dad forbade those words to be used. He insisted I ask, "How can I afford it?" One is a statement and the other is a question. One lets you off the hook and the other forces you to think. My soon-to-be rich dad would explain that by automatically saying the words "I can't afford it," your brain stops working. By asking the question "How can I afford it?" your brain is put to work. Now this relates to everything in your life. Now look, I read that book years ago and only now am I starting to realize how crucial that actually is. So I'm really hoping that you're a bit faster than me in integrating that knowledge. Now the other day this was highlighted to me again when I was talking to one of my clients, and he said to me, "Mandy, I'm really depressed lately." And he doesn't suffer from depression. It was just a way of saying, "I've been feeling really low lately." Now, when he said it, my first thought was, no, don't say depressed. That is so disempowering. Rather say something like, "I've been feeling low, I don't know why, I need to figure it out so that I can feel better." Can you hear the difference in just that statement? Now, we all do it all the time, right? I mean, how many times in your life haven't you said, "Man, I'm feeling so depressed right now"? Suffering from depression is probably one of the most debilitating states to be in. My dad suffered severe depression, so I saw firsthand how it renders an amazing human being completely powerless and how it overshadows their whole life. Because I know what it looks like at its extreme form, when someone uses that expression casually, it makes me cringe because it makes me feel like you locking yourself in a cage and throwing away the key. Just like Robert Kiyosaki says, instead of saying "I can't afford it," ask yourself, "How can I afford it?" So instead of saying I'm depressed, ask yourself, how can I feel better? And just again, to make it very clear, I say this for those who use it in a casual way when they're feeling low, me included, and with no disrespect to those who are really suffering from depression. Now, this was just an example. We do it with everything else in our lives as well. Now, even if you say it very casually or as a joke, over time it acts like an incantation and it becomes who you are or who you think you are, and then you will start to act in that way that is in accordance with the identity that you have created for yourself. And don't worry if something is already in your identity, we will get into how to change that in a minute. And I'll say it again, there is immense power in the words I am and I can't. It is a statement of a fact and it leaves no room for change. It's like saying, I know this for sure, I have no interest in exploring this further and to find a solution or a way out. Now, what is really important to know, and which really is at the foundation of all of this, is to realize and believe that your current identity is not cast in stone. Who you are is not an absolute, but it's rather a result of what you've been telling yourself, what others have been telling you, and what your environment has been telling you. I've tried this out in my own life in many ways, so I know this to be true, and let me give you an example of that. A while back, I watched the Netflix documentary on Tony Robbins called I'm Not Your Guru, and I think it was right in the beginning where he said, I built this mother. Now, knowing a little bit about his background and the way he grew up, I believed him because he was not born into the person he is today. So I thought I'd put this statement to the test, and I've never seen myself, or I never used to see myself as a sporty person, okay? And I hated running, and I always used to say, I'm not a runner. Like, I literally couldn't run 300 meters without feeling like I'm going to pass out. Okay, so I decided I'm going to do this, and I'm going to change my mindset from I'm not a runner to I'm building myself into a person who is a runner, aka I'm building this motherf. David Goggins would be so proud of me. Now, I ended up running 10 kilometers within a couple of months, okay? And to be honest, to me, this was nothing short of a miracle because my whole life I couldn't run 300 meters, and I thought there was no way that I would ever be able to run 10Ks, especially in such a short amount of time. And at the foundation of it was that I changed my mindset from I am not to I am becoming. And if I would have stayed in the mindset of I am not, I would have never allowed myself the opportunity to even start training and start trying. I went from an absolute disempowering statement to one where there's possibility for change and for growth. Change and transformation can only happen when you see yourself as clay and not as stone. When you realize that and truly accept it, you can build yourself into anything that you want to become. Now, the way to start this change in identity, whether it's been your identity for years or only recently acquired, is to change your wording, your self-talk from I am, I'm not, I can't to how can I and I am becoming. You want to start exercising, but you have been a master couch potato for your whole life. Say to yourself, I am becoming a person who is getting interested in moving more. Or ask yourself, how can I enjoy moving more? From I'm not good with money to I am slowly learning how this money game works. Or how can I become more financially educated? From I am terrified of spiders to I am learning how to overcome this fear, or How can I start to see spiders in a different light? From I'm not a morning person to I am learning how to adjust my sleeping patterns, or ask yourself, what can I do and how can I start my day in a way that it becomes enjoyable for me to get up early? From I am completely overwhelmed to I am learning how to become more confident, or how can I structure my life in a way that I have a lot more control? By the way, all the things that I just mentioned are things that I have already fully changed in my life, or things that I am in the process of changing now. So I know it works. Here's another really important thing I need you to know. If you notice, not once did I tell you to say to yourself that you are the opposite of what you are now. I didn't say start telling yourself that I am sporty, I am rich, I am a morning person, and I am super calm. Because if you are anything like me, you just won't believe yourself. I used to get so triggered by affirmations because if there's a zero in my bank account, it means that I don't have 7 million. And if I can barely walk a kilometer, let alone run it, then I'm not a runner. And if I am sick and all the tests show that I'm sick, it means I'm not a super healthy person. Now, for some people that works, and honestly I envy you. And if you have that power to just strongly believe, then keep on doing that. But all the more reason for you to be very mindful of what you're saying to yourself. But for those of you who are like me, who can't just believe it if you can't see it, for you, start to shift your words to I am becoming, I am in the process of getting there, or opening yourself up to the question of how you can become or how you can get there. One single tiny percentage makes you a becomer. Not entirely sure if that's a word, but let's just go with it. If you walk one step more than you did yesterday, it means you are becoming a person who can move. If you look at one YouTube video a day on financial education, you are becoming a person who understands how money works. If you say one nice thing to someone today, then you are becoming an uplifter. If you ask yourself how you can do something, you are one step closer to finding an answer. You get it. You always have the capacity to become, but you have to change what you say to yourself. Your brain doesn't care what you tell it. It doesn't discern between good or bad. It just accepts your commands like a loyal servant. So start telling it that you are becoming, or ask it to help you find a solution. And just as an extension, please be mindful of what you say to others. Not everyone has the knowledge that they can choose what to believe about themselves and that they can choose what they say to themselves. So help those people, influence them in a positive way so that they can become the best version of themselves. My wish for you is that you never accept your limitations, that you realize that your shortcomings can be transformed, and that you talk to yourself in a way that gives you space and opportunity to continuously grow and build yourself. Remember this. Your words become your identity. Your identity drives your actions. Your actions give you the results that you have in your life today. And if you don't like the results you have in your life today, start changing your self-talk. I fully believe in you because I've seen the results in my own life, in the life of my clients, and in the lives of those around me. Adjust your language so that it is always empowering and never restricting. I'm all worked up now. So come and join me in the bloopers section coming up in just a second. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up so that we can reach more people. If you have any thoughts or opinions on this topic, please leave it in the comment section below, and also other topics that you would want me to talk about. Please remember to subscribe if you haven't yet, and most important of all, always live an empowered life. I'll see you in the next one. Damn, you're ugly. This is gonna go so well. In fact, you know, when are you going to... Buckle up, kids, this is gonna take a while. Do you hear the difference in that formulation? Sure you do, you're not an idiot. Becoming more and more aware with it. Your environment has been telling you. No, no, mm-mm. Went from an I am unable to get this scene done. That's an example of how you shouldn't talk to yourself. I'm in the process of becoming a person who can get this scene done, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm building this mother... You become a person who is starting to learn how money works. You can go ahead and enjoy the bloopers now in a second. This will be part of the bloopers. Remember to hit the... I need one of those reading thingies you put over a camera. What are they called? News anchors use them.